welcome or welcome back to my channel. My name is Erica, and in today's video I will be reviewing with you all of the eyeshadow palettes I used throughout the month of September, and also sharing pictures of the looks that I created with each one of these palettes. A couple looks I combined a few things to create the look, and then a couple looks I did not film. I think I either put my makeup on and then filmed a video, or I just took time away from filming and just put a look on. Actually, one of the palettes, or maybe, yeah, one or two, I did film a video. I started to film a video and I was so yuck and negative that I thought, that's when I decided to take my break, because I was like, I can't do this. I cannot have, I cannot be this grumpy in videos because no one will want to watch this. I didn't even want to watch, like when I was editing, I'm like, ugh, gross, which editing is not always easy because the sound of my own voice makes me want to scream and run from the room like my own butt is on fire. So of course, I'm going to show you the eyeshadow palettes I used throughout the month of September. Like I mentioned, pop up pictures of the looks and then just kind of talk about how I felt about the palette and the look that I created. I'm not ranking any of these because I really enjoy the palettes that I used throughout the month of September, and it's just, I just don't think I'm going to do that anymore. I do my random ranking series once a month, and that's enough ranking for me. So of course I scooted over a little bit so I can pop up pictures of the looks that I created while I talk you through the eyeshadow palette that I used to create said look. Okay, and this is not in any particular order. I just pulled all the palettes off my shelves or out of my drawers, made a stack, and I'm just going to go through them with you. So starting off with the LYS palette that my dear friend Julia sent to me, and this is the, gosh, I can't ever read the back. I really wish that brands, I know this is nitpicky, very nitpicky, but I really wish that brands would get it together and realize that not everybody can see teeny tiny writing. I know this is a teeny tiny palette, but still, it's kind of obnoxious. This is the Unapologetic palette from LYS, which stands for Love Yourself, a Black-owned brand that I was just dying to try. I do have a bronzer from LYS as well. And this was the look that I created. I had filmed it, but it went south. Not the look. The look was gorgeous. I really enjoyed playing with this palette, but my attitude went to shit real fast. I was like, I'm not going to put up this video because it was just not... I was not in my happy place, that's for sure. Anyway, this is a lovely palette. We've got 3 mattes and 3 shimmers, and basically I used these 3 mattes and these 2 shimmers together, and I really liked how the look turned out. This would be a perfect palette to travel with because it's so compact, but everything worked really well in it. The only shade I didn't use was this one, but I really was impressed by the performance. I mean, it's a neutral palette with some pops of color, which I know that's not everybody's favorite. But I really enjoyed it and thought it was a lovely little palette, and really happy that Julia sent it to me. And it was really nice to finally try something from a brand that I've been wanting to try for a very long time. The next palette is the What's Up Beauty Dragon Eye palette. And this has been in, I think this was in my last month's video roundup review of my palettes too, because I created a look pretty sure in August with this as well. And then of course pulled it into September. This palette I pulled into my You're Too Sensitive video, like talking about how crappy it is to tell someone that they're too sensitive. Now here's the thing, I've been a little bit, I don't know if I've been hypocritical, but a little bit kind of like wishy-washy about this palette. I do love the looks that I've created. I really like the look that I put together for that video. And I really do like this palette. I think what kind of throws me the more I think about it, because when I'm using it, I love it, I think it's gorgeous, but also it's kind of not disjointed color story. I don't know. I feel like, how do I feel about it? I don't know. The shimmers just maybe aren't as wowing to me as I thought they might be, but then they are too. Just, I've had really great experiences with it, but then also been kind of like for instance, these 2 shimmers just kind of melted into the mattes for me. But then using like these 2 shimmers, or these 2, no, I've used these 3. This one, I think, I have not used this one yet, and I haven't used this one yet. So these 2 I still need to use, but these 3 were very like dynamic and shifty and cool. The mattes though, the tones of the mattes are too neutral. I feel like or maybe I just would have preferred to maybe have a couple of more colorful mattes. I don't know. I don't know. I love this palette, and then I don't like love it. So I'm not sure. I want to keep playing with it. Really happy that I have it in my collection, and it is known as my Dawn palette because my dear friend and subscriber Dawn, she like cued me in that it had been restocked. Okay, then I also used the Bard palette again from Fantasy Cosmetica. Now I don't think I filmed the look. I just put the look together for another video maybe. I can't remember, but oh, this is such a gorgeous palette. This is such a gorgeous palette, okay? I want to try more from this brand so desperately because they create a lot of these 9-pan palettes and they're, you know, affordable, you know, relatively affordable, maybe a little spendier, but you get what you pay for, really, because the shadows in here are gorgeous. My friend Julie sent this to me, different from Julia, 2 different Jules. Got 2 Jules in my life. But really have enjoyed playing with it, and I really love the color story. I've heard people say that this is a little bit of a disjointed color story, and like you kind of have to do more monochromatic looks with it. Like you kind of have to focus on these shades together and like these shades together. That doesn't bother me, and I think I could do something with like throwing this blue or green in with the orange and yellows and red. I think I could do that. I haven't done it yet, but I think I could. Maybe that's a good challenge for me to try to do in a video. It's like use the tones that maybe don't go together. I could try that. For the look that I created in September, I used these 2 shades and then this shade, I think, right? Yeah, I used this in my transition area, this to blend it out, and this across the lid. Gorgeous. And I have not touched that one yet, which is strange because I love green. But so impressed with the mattes, the blendability and the pigmentation, and the shimmers are just incredible. Buttery, opaque, sticky loveliness. I mean, I don't know that this is like my favorite color story in my collection, no, but I do really like it. And it would be fun to like challenge myself to do something less monochromatic the next time around. Then I did a collab with my best friend and sister Steph, not your basic Steph. Anyone that has a channel, I'll link their channel in my description box, of course. She and I both picked up the recently, well, not so recently released, Ladybug Glow and Gourmand Girls collaboration palettes. The first one is the Paradise Cove palette, and out of the 2, this was my favorite. Just love the tones in here. We've got the blues, the greens, yellow, some neutrals too. Really fun and such a wonderful formulation. Thrilled, absolutely thrilled. Love Ladybug Glow, and I love Gourmand Girls, and that's another brand I really want to get more from too, is Gourmand Girls, because I do have the Salem Moore, which will be coming in a future Throwback Thursday. I have the Ethereal, which is incredible. So, I mean, I do have more experience with Ladybug Glow palettes than I do with Gourmand Girls, but still really enjoyed playing with this palette and love the whole color combo, the formulation. And then we also did a look with the El Camino, which of course was released by Ladybug Glow and Gourmand Girls together. Now I will say that although I do think this is a beautiful color story, this is not my favorite out of the 2. To me, this was a trickier color story to work with. It really was. And of course I want to use it again and play with it some more, but I ended up putting these 2 shimmers together. What Steph and I did, let me back up a minute. What Steph and I did was Steph had chosen some pictures, one picture to go with this palette, the other picture to go with Paradise Cove. And the goal was to take the color scheme of the pictures that she chose and then create an eye look with that in mind. And so there were these 2 colors in the picture, and putting these 2 shimmers together, I don't think worked very well for me. You know, my skill set is just maybe not where it needs to be in order to put these 2 tones together. I don't know. It was okay. But yeah, I don't know. This was just a little trickier for me to figure out. And I've only used it the one time, so I really want to play with it again. But definitely out of the 2, the Paradise Cove is my favorite. Then I also used the Mini Zendo palette from Natasha Denona in a Throwback Thursday video. Now, Jan Van, she gifted this to me. And then I did do a random ranking collab with DW earlier this month. And she had chosen this palette for me to rank, but I hadn't used it yet. So I thought I better pull it into a Throwback Thursday so I can at least rank it. Because part of my rules for my random ranking is that I have to use the palette at least to rank it, right? And I was really impressed with this. I mean, this is not a super exciting color story necessarily if you're not into neutrals. If you're into more colorful palettes, this probably would not float your boat. But I was really impressed with how the shadows worked. And I created a very simple, basic, but very pretty look. And that's what you're going to get out of this palette for sure. It's a very classy color story, I would say, and a very classy formulation. Natasha Denona is a very classy brand owner, I think, in general, but like the palettes she puts together are very classy, truly. So I had a really nice time playing with this. I mean, it's not my favorite palette in my collection, but it's pretty darn nice. Then I also did do a collab with Jan and Shawnee. We created a fall eye look, and then we answered some fall questions. And I also kind of killed two birds with one stone with this look, because I wanted to take part in Charlie, Peanut Butter Beauties Singles Cruise Challenge on Instagram. So what I did for the mattes is I pulled them out of the Orange Pop palette from Kara Beauty, and I think this has actually been changed to something. The name of this palette has been changed to like Flower Power, something like that. I don't know if the marijuana theme was offensive to some people. I really like the mattes that I pulled together for the look, sure, but this is an older palette, and I don't know that, I mean, I could have found these tones in other palettes that I have in my collection that maybe are more new. I don't know. I don't know how much longer this palette's going to stay in my collection. I'm going to be doing a palette collection and declutter video before the end of the year. And I'm not sure that I'm going to hold on to this. No, there's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just, I don't know. Just needing to thin out the herd here. I'm getting too many palettes. And, or I have too many palettes. I've had too many palettes for a long time. Well, too many, whatever, that's relative. But, yeah, it was fine. It was fine using the mattes. Just, I don't know that I need to keep the palette. And then for the shimmer that I used for the look, I grabbed a single from VIP Glitz and Glam, US indie brand that I found through a friend of mine on Instagram. And this is in the shade Czar. And look at how flippy red, orange, gold, green. I mean, it's very dynamic. And you can really see the shifts on the eyelid. You know, sometimes I feel like with multi-chromes, like you can see them and swatch them, but then you put them on your lids and they kind of just lose the flip. This does not lose the flip at all. And this is a brand that I don't hear hardly anybody talking about, which I wish that would change, because VIP Glitz and Glam is an amazing indie brand. And I have several of their shimmers. And I'm thinking about doing something in November, like a no palette November, where I don't use any of my eyeshadow palettes unless I need mattes. So maybe that, I don't know. And then using my single shimmers in looks. I'm thinking about that. I may not do that because I have a lot of palettes I need to play with. But I just thought about it, so we'll see. Then I created a look for another Throwback Thursday with the Beauty Bay Bright palette. I was doing like a series of tutorials for my Throwback Thursdays. And when I used this palette, I wanted to pull a couple colors together that might not always go together, or people might not think go together. And so I chose green and pink because Janny suggested I put pink and green together, and that was a really fun look to put together. And I love this palette. I know I say that a lot, and I hear buzzings in the background that how can you love every single thing? Well, I wouldn't have it in my collection if I didn't love it, okay? Or at least really like it. And I do love it, and I'm going to be honest about how I feel. I'm not going to like not love a palette because someone else is irritated that I love my palettes. Anyway, moving on. Had fun. It was a kind of a challenging look, I guess, for me, just because I don't normally put greens and pinks together. But I think it turned out really nice, and I really wanted Janny to love the look, and I think she liked it quite a bit, so that's great. And it was fun to pull it out and put pink and green together. Then I did a collab with Nikki Lynn, and we created fall looks using Nomad eyeshadow palettes, right? Yes, and I grabbed the Berlin Underground because I felt like it was perfect for fall. And I've had this palette for quite some time, and although I love it with my whole entire heart, because this was my favorite Nomad palette for quite some time. The Royal Europe has taken that slot, and now I'm almost thinking that the New Zealand Stargazing palette might have taken that slot in my life. I'm just noticing that the performance of this palette is not as great as it once was because it's older, you know, and most of these shades in here are satiny, and the satininess is kind of, they're becoming less lustery and more chalky, I've noticed, which kind of sucks. I will probably keep this though, just because it's so special to me and I love it so much, and it was my favorite from Nomad for quite some time. I really liked the look that I put together, and I loved Nikki's look, and I think it was a really nice fall-esque look. It's just I could tell that the satins weren't necessarily performing as amazingly as they used to. Then I did a 2 looks video with the Beauty Moon Cosmetics Once Upon a Time palette, and oh, so fun. This is a UK indie brand that I have to just shout from the rooftops because I have been thoroughly impressed with my Beauty Moon Cosmetics palettes. Amazing. And you know, the mattes are so lovely. The shimmers are just stunning. And then the quality of the shadows, just impeccable. Really, I have so much fun when I play with Beauty Moon Cosmetics products across the board, but especially their eyeshadow palettes. And I really had fun with the looks. I did like a pink and brown cut crease, and then I did like the bluey greeny purple combo. So fun. And this is such a unique color story. You know, just a lot of fun you can have in here. And then you've got the neutrals, you've got the colorful stuff, you know, blues, greens, purples, pinks, right? You know, lots of different stuff. So that's really fun. And of course, I created a look with the Blairdale MUA Cosmetics, the Hunter and the Prey palette. Now, Blair I was introduced to actually through Ladybug Glow, when Blair and Ladybug Glow did the Castle of Horror palette together. And then when I saw that Blair had released their own brand, or started their own brand, released a palette, I was like, okay, I gotta go and support Blair. Blair is very special, very talented, and has always been very supportive of me, you know? So I thought, okay, I gotta get the palette, having no clue what to expect. And I am thoroughly impressed. This is a neutral palette with grunge and earthy and flippiness to it, which I love that. This shade I did pan. This shade was pretty tender, and I was a little too rough with it. So it's not that I used a ton of the product out of the palettes, that I was a little too smashy, a little too smash happy going into the shade. But you know, yes, I probably have these tones in other palettes. I do. I will confidently say that. But you know, I'm really happy that I picked up the palette because it's a lovely formulation. Love this type of color story and these shades, tones put together in a palette, and thrilled to support Blair. So if you're into grungy, earthy palettes with some really fun flippy duochromeness in the shimmers and just really sticky, thick, buttery, opaque shimmers, and you're liking the whole, like I just said, the whole schema here, definitely pick up the palette. I have no idea if there's any palettes still available, but I think it's really important to support people that are just getting started with a small indie brand. It just means a lot to me. And I love this palette. I love the brand. I'm going to continue to support the brand. And the next time Blair releases a palette, I will pick it up. No questions asked. I also pulled in the Blend Bunny Cosmetics Lure palette for another Throwback Thursday tutorial style, where I grabbed 2 colors that go together, purple and pink. And I will say that this is a wonderful palette to play with. Really fun, gorgeous, really lovely formulation. And I love how this palette is arranged. I do wish maybe there's a couple more shimmers in here, but I'm not going to complain because all of these up here are so beautiful. And then we have the lovely mattes and the range of tones in each color, so you can really do a lovely gradient. You can go monochromatic, you can mix and match. I mean, just beautiful. And this is so jewel toned and so fun and just really a cool palette. It's gorgeous. And this is the first palette that I picked up from Blend Bunny and fell in love with the brand with this palette, you know. And you could call me easy to please. I am easy to please, but you know, it's fun to be easy to please. It's fun to love your makeup. For another Throwback Thursday in the month of September, I grabbed the BH Cosmetics Sweet Shop Bubblegum palette, and I did a tutorial style video with this, just creating a monochromatic look with kind of a challenging color. I think blues can be challenging. I know for me, they were very challenging. I was terrified of blue eyeshadows when I first got into makeup, and I just kind of determined like, blues just aren't for me. I won't create blue eye looks. But then I had this challenge, this self-imposed challenge of no, I'm gonna master blue eyeshadows. I haven't mastered them, but I'm very comfortable with them now. And I love blue eyeshadows. And then I went through the same thing with pink eyeshadows. I've gotten through that. So I think it's fun to conquer your fear of an eyeshadow by just continuing to practice. And I love monochromatic looks where I can create a really beautiful gradient, and that's what I tried to do with this palette. I really enjoy it. I mean, you guys know I've gone on and on and on about how much I love the Sweet Shop palettes from BH Cosmetics, and yeah, I had a blast with that video. Super fun. And then the last look that I created for the month of September was for a challenge collab video. I collabed with Leanna Dalton, Andy from Andy Does Stuff, and Ash from Makeup and Chaos. And we have a group chat on Instagram, which I love. It's so fun. And we chat about all kinds of stuff. Pretty heavy makeup focus, but life stuff too. Anyway, we hadn't done a collab, all four of us together, for a while. And so we're like, let's do that again. Like, why aren't we doing that? And so Ash said, well, I think what would be really fun is to find challenging looks for us to recreate in our collab videos, because Ash, I think, was kind of feeling like they were in a rut, like, you know, a creative rut. Like, let's try to like spark the creative juices. So Ash found a picture on Instagram, and I think the creator's name is Narimi, which I'll link the creator's Instagram in my description box. But Ash found this picture of this look, which I'll pop up here, and popped it into our group chat and was like, let's do this. Let's recreate this look. And I'm thinking, are you kidding? Like, Ash, Andy, Leanna, no problem. They got it in the bag. But I am just not as creative as they are. And I'm thinking, but I'll do it, right? I love my friends. I'm like, okay. And I do think it's good to, like, even if you're scared of the makeup, oh, it sounds so silly, but it pushes you out of your comfort zone. And what happens if it turns out great and you're really happy with it? And I loved the look that I put together. So anyway, for the shadows that I used, I grabbed a couple out of the Midnight palette from Beauty Bay. Isn't this gorgeous? And I think the only shade I used out of here was this one. So maybe just one shade, right? And then I used a couple shades out of the Be Perfect Love Tahiti Carnival 3 Stacey Marie palette. And I want to say I use greens, yeah, and maybe a blue, this blue. And then I used a couple of shades out of the Be Perfect Carnival The Antidote palette from Stacey Marie. I used a couple over here, I think, or no, this I think. I cannot remember what shades I used. But if you watch the video, you'll know what shades I used. And I want to address something briefly. Be Perfect has collabed with someone that I no. So while some people are decluttering, or maybe not decluttering their Be Perfect palettes, they're not using their Be Perfect palettes at all anymore. I don't know. I struggle with that because, just like with Morphe, like, I bought the palettes when I really enjoyed the brand and loved the brand. I thought the brand was amazing. And now the brand has collabed with someone that I'm just like, oh God, have we not learned anything? So I don't know. I'm not exactly sure what I'm going to do. But if I do ever use a Be Perfect palette again on my channel, I will clearly announce my dislike for that collab. Not to be a jerk, not to be shady, not to be anything other than no. That's it. I mean, I'm not trying to cancel anyone. I don't understand the collab choice at all. Anyway, that's all I'm going to say. So anyway, I kind of got off track here. I really enjoyed that collab with Leanna and Andy and Ash. It was so fun to recreate someone else's look and do my best to stick to it, of course, but also to make it my own, because I couldn't do it exactly the same. And I'm pretty sure that the four of us are going to continue to do challenge type collabs. There is one scheduled for October, and I might take part in it. I don't know. Like I mentioned in another video not too long ago, I'm just slowing down on creating content because I have a life outside of YouTube, and I just don't want to get myself spread too thin and like I'm being pulled in 15 different directions. So we'll see. I might take part in it. I may not. If I don't take part in this one, I'll definitely take part in another one down the road. So of course, those were all the palettes I used throughout the month of September, along with the pictures of looks that I created. Let me know if you have any of these palettes in your collection and what you think of them. And also let me know what you think of the looks that I created. We can chat about that in the comment section as well. Thank you guys so much for taking time out of your lives to sit down and watch this video. If you're new here and you enjoyed what you saw, please consider subscribing. Smash the like button, and of course comment down below in the comment section. I love to chat with you guys there. If you've been here before, thank you so much for coming back. I cannot wait to see you guys again in my next video, but in the meantime, please take very good care of yourself. Be well, safe, happy, and I will see you soon. Bye.
Drop it.